I thought we could have a brief time thinking about how we can hold fast until the end. It's very, very important. One of the main messages in Pilgrim's Progress is holding fast until the end. Not allowing Satan to deceive us or frighten us. Not allowing friends to lead us astray. Not allowing deceiving preachers to lead us astray. Not allowing discouraged believers who are backslidden to lead us astray. How can we hold fast till the end? If there is anything in our conscience that we have not settled, that's one thing that will always be a drag on our life. When Jesus met Zacchaeus and told him to come down from the tree, and he went to his house, you read in Luke chapter 19, Jesus was walking down and Zacchaeus was a short man. He climbed a tree to see him. Zacchaeus was a crooked, cheating tax collector. He made a lot of money cheating people. But yet the fact that he wanted to see Jesus showed that in his heart he had a longing for God, but he had gone astray into a wrong path. Sometimes we look at a person who's crooked, cheating, and you think there's no hope for him. And all the people in Israel felt there's no hope for this guy. It's like that, Jesus sometimes used to go to people for whom others would have no hope. Like this woman caught in adultery, you remember, in John chapter 8. The Pharisees said there's no hope for her. She'll go to hell. She deserves to go to hell. We have to stone her and send her to hell. Jesus said, no, I didn't come to the world to stone people and send them to hell. I came to save people. Even Christians sometimes, they can look at somebody and say, oh, she's a prostitute. She's an evil person. There's no hope for her. But Jesus came for such people. Or sometimes we look at someone who's divorced. Oh, what an evil person that is. What about if someone is divorced 5 times? There was a woman like that in Samaria. You read in John chapter 4. Divorced 5 times. And on top of that, now she was living with a 6th man, not even married to him. And supposing some woman like that came and sat in this church, and you knew that this is a woman who was divorced 5 times and now sleeping with somebody who's not even her husband, you would definitely say, there's no hope for her. She's a dead loss. Jesus had hope for her. That's the message of the gospel. The worst of sinners. Or think of another person who spent all his life cheating, killing people, murdering, making so many widows and orphans by killing the fathers. And finally the law catches up with him and he's going to be hanged. In those days, crucified. That's the thief on the cross. And at that last minute, he says, Lord, please remember me. I'm guilty. I don't blame anybody else. I don't blame my parents. I don't blame my friends for the life I lived. I blame myself. The Lord is always merciful to someone who will take the blame himself. Because that's what the opposite of Adam in Eden. The problem with Adam was he would not take the blame himself. Even when God came to him and said, did you eat from that tree? Adam said, I'm sorry, Lord, I did that. No, he has to find somebody to blame. He points his finger at his wife. I like if somebody could paint a picture of Adam pointing his finger at his wife. She is to blame. Why do I say that? That's a picture of many, many homes. Sometimes it's the wife pointing the finger at the husband pointing the finger at the wife. The world is full of homes like that. You are to blame. It's your fault. And then here was a man on the cross who said, nobody's fault, my fault. That's the only thing he said. He said, Lord, please remember me. I'm guilty. I deserve to go to hell. I deserve to be crucified. I don't deserve a few years in jail like some other murderers. I'm so bad that a few years in prison is not good enough for me. I need to be hanged or crucified. And it's as if Jesus said to him, really? You feel you're so guilty and you are willing to acknowledge the blame completely, unlike Adam? You don't blame anybody else but yourself? And you trust in me? Well, my dear brother, come to paradise. Today you and I can walk in paradise together. Would you say that to somebody who's lived such a bad life at the last minute? You'd go to him and say, last minute you're trying to get converted, eh? After living all your life such a wicked life. Jesus never said that. He never had the opportunity to turn. He probably never knew that Jesus loved sinners, but he realized it at that last moment. There's a mercy with God which I find even many believers don't have. Many believers who have a high standard of holiness are not merciful to others. And you may find that in your heart too. I've often said this, that when we began to preach holiness in our church, when we started meeting in our home, for 6 years we met in our home in Bangalore. And then the Lord gave us a plot of land where we could put a building to attract other people to come and hear the gospel. And so when we put the building up, they asked me, what verse shall we put behind the pulpit? And I said, the biggest need of Christians who preach righteousness is mercy. So I said, put this verse behind the pulpit so that everyone who comes to this pulpit to preach holiness will remember it. Be merciful to others just as God has been merciful to you. And if you ever watch the CFC live stream, you'll see behind the pulpit, that's the verse there. And I saw this the other day in Matthew chapter 5. Have you noticed it in Matthew chapter 5? Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. I hope this is where many of us are, hungering and thirsting for a holy life. Matthew 5, verse 6. Those who hunger and thirst for a holy life will be satisfied. That means they will get it. And I want to say to you, my brothers and sisters, if you haven't got it, the reason is you're not hungering and thirsting for it. You're just asking for it. If I get it, well and good. If I don't get it, it's not the most important thing in life. I've got other things to do. But the person who says, I don't have other things to do, this is the most important thing for me, I want to live a holy life, they will always get it. So if there's any area in your life where you're not righteous and not holy, you can be pretty sure it's because you're not really passionately hungering and thirsting for it. That's the only reason you're defeated. And you'll continue to be defeated with any sin. Anger, sexual lust, bitterness, murmuring. You will keep on being defeated till you say, Lord, this is the most important thing for me in my life. I hunger and thirst for it. Then you'll get it. It says here, they'll be satisfied. So once you come to that holy life, what is the next thing you need to learn? To go to the next verse. Be merciful. That's the very next verse. Because once you get this righteous life, you can become proud. I got it because I hungered and thirsted. Look at these other people defeated by sin. And you can be unmerciful to people. That's not going to help them. The holiest man who walked on earth was Jesus Christ. And do you know he was the most merciful person? I just gave you a few examples of merciful to that woman caught in adultery, merciful to the thief on the cross. He was always like that. The outcasts of society, the lepers. The lepers were the most outcast. They were not even allowed to live in the city because there was no cure for leprosy. Go outside the city and live there. We don't care where you get your food. Nobody would go there. Jesus went to them and encouraged them. I believe that many, many people who pursue holiness don't have compassion. They're so hard on others who don't pursue holiness or who lived a wicked life. I'm not saying we can save all of them, but even if I'm not able to be an evangelist to them, at least in my heart there must be compassion towards those who are lost, those who are blind spiritually, those who resist what we teach. Holiness, next verse is mercy.